it's difficult to kind of create a satisfying structure like that, like something that I feel is good enough or feel good about in terms of, making an arrangement that feels like it works.
Okay, so what is a satisfying structure that you would feel good about?
I don't know. I think I sort of wrote myself a solution as I was thinking about it. So I just need to turn that off. And the solution is basically, what I wrote down was get better at creating arcs by doing it. And kind of sort of imagining, and is sort of maybe like lying down or kind of meditating on it, like imagining myself going through a sort of the journey of the track and how I imagine it could be, and recognizing that I'm not really doing that. I'm sort of just kind of making up as I go along and not really kind of thinking about it enough. So that's one idea anyway.
So when let's actually focus on the problem with the music that you're making rather than the solutions. So
yeah,
in terms of the music that you're making now, when you listen to it, what is it that makes it not satisfying? In terms of in the terms of in which you're talking about, so it's like the arrangement, the structure, the journey, however you want to put it.
I'm just trying to think of some of the stuff that we're working on. It's hard. It's hard to think.
So if you kind of at some point some feeling or something happens, and you're like, okay, is it at the end? Does it tend to be? I don't know why I'm waving this around. It's eye drops. Anyway, so is it? Put that down. So is it the end? Is it the start? Like, is there some point at which it tends to happen, or is it like? Are you reporting on it after the event? At what point do you start to get this feeling?
Right, I'm trying to think about a specific track. I think it's. I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably after I've listened to it, and I'm like, oh God, I'm not sure if that really works. And I don't know. I think it's probably mostly a sort of like I haven't finished a lot of music, like I just haven't done that, and so I don't have that sense of confidence of like I can do this. I can sort of take something from an idea through to something that actually works. So it feels like it's sort of an insecurity about that. It's like, well, yeah, I finished a certain amount of tracks in my time, and it would probably be something like 15 or something like that. And it's like, I don't know whether I don't know how much I like them. Like some of them sort of meander and they kind of sort of go all over the place, and they start off sounding like one track and end up sounding like something else. And then others are kind of, and I sort of like that about those tracks. And then others, it's like, oh, maybe I should make something that's more concise. And then I judge that for being too concise. So it's like I don't have the confidence. It seems like I'm just really judging what I'm doing a lot and not really sure how I want it to be.
Okay, and what's the function of your music? What I am specifically asking about function. So
the function.
What is? Yeah, not the purpose. So the function is like for I don't know I'm trying to think of someone random. I don't like like a mum to listen to while she's cooking, or a dad to listen to while he's cooking.
I would say sort of aimed at kind of home listening, kind of headphone listening, relaxation, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not really like dance floor oriented or anything like that, but it's like electronica for sort of head trips, like taking you on a little journey in your mind kind of thing.
Okay. So one of the things about taking people on a journey is that they, in order to go, and I mean, what are the defining points of a journey?
Well, beginning, middle, and end.
Right. So you have to go, you have to start out, you have to then travel, and then you have to arrive.
Yeah.
So in what does arriving mean in relation to music? Because if you don't arrive, you're still on the journey, which is by definition unsatisfying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in relation to music, what does arriving mean? Or what could it mean? Pardon?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I can answer.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Or in a universal
You could
way.
try. You could guess.
Yeah. Look, I don't have the answer. I think sort of kind of arriving somewhere it sort of means like having a little there being a little surprise in there somewhere, or some sort of
Really?
change, or like a change in your state, you know.
Well, that occurs in the journey. Yeah. But arriving is like it's like you're going from movement to stillness, if you like. You're arriving and then you sit down. Okay. So but you have to have arrived somewhere. So in relation to music, how do you kind of metaphorically suggest that we have arrived? How is that even possible in a piece of music?
I don't know. This is confusing me.
Let's take a guess.
Boggling my mind a little bit.
Good. That's what we want.
What's the question again? How do you convey?
So on a journey, right? You start at point A and you want to go to point B, and then along the journey there are problems to solve and there are struggles and and then you arrive at the destination somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now in music it's slightly different. In order to take someone on a journey, you need to give them the feeling that it has arrived. How do you do that in a piece of music?
I don't know.
Well, I'll put you out of your misery. So in a piece of music, so the thing is, with a journey, we are going somewhere and we know where we want to go and we know when we've arrived because we know where it is we want to go. Okay? For a listener of a piece of music, we are kind of leading them on a journey and we are telling them, like, arriving means arriving at somewhere that. So actually, let me continue with the journey metaphor.
Hint where they're going to arrive at.
It's like you expect when you go on a journey, you expect to end up at the restaurant, right? So and when you arrive at the restaurant, okay, I am now at the restaurant. I am where I expected to be.
Yeah. So you have to give them a little clue about where they get, and then actually.
And like, on a journey, I can start in my shed and I can end up in a restaurant, and they're very, very different places. But the expectation has not been violated because I'm in a restaurant, not on the moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I have like the expectation has been fulfilled. So I feel satisfied. I have gone on my journey and I have arrived where I need to go. In music, as the composer of the music, we need to create an expectation.
Yeah.
In order for them to feel that they have arrived.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So we I mean, this is, again, whenever I say things about music, there is always going to be a few exceptions, which kind of proves the rule. Okay. But in the majority of music, how do we actually make somebody feel like they have arrived, or get them to feel that they have arrived?
Are you asking me again?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of seems obvious when you put it like that. It's like you sort of hint, you kind of have suggestions of, like a musical phrase or part of something, part of a melody, and then it builds, and then
You come back to the place you were before.
Yes,
but
exactly.
But how you simulate being in a different place is by that thing that comes back having been changed by what's come before it in the journey part. So, just very, very simply, the start of the piece creates an expectation. Yeah. So this is the thing. Yeah. Then the development of the piece is like the journey, and you can sort of meander if you want, and you can do this and you can do that. You can change things. But then in order to create that really, and again, there are pieces of music that don't follow this model, but it's just the majority of music does. In some way, you come back to, there are elements of coming back to where you started in order to create that sense of arriving, because you're arriving, because otherwise it's just nothing. It's almost like you just, as you say, meandering, going nowhere. So you're not satisfied because you've ended up on the moon when you expected to be in a restaurant. In music, a very, very simple example is, and not all music is like this, A, B, A, with a twist, affected, with a twist, which is kind of something that has happened in B. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could say A, B, A, with a little hint of B. That's it's not all music does that or anything, but that's a really, really simple, because that creates a sense of having arrived. And it actually enhances the sense that you've gone on a journey by coming back to where you started. And it's not the same, but this is because it's about expectation. Yeah, because there isn't a conception, you can't come at the start of a piece of music and go, okay, what to expect in this piece of music is that we're going to, it's just not going to work. So the only way to create expectation is by having parts which create that expectation, and then coming back with those parts, which then fulfill that expectation. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So well, it is once you know it, but it's not when you don't, right? So how might this shift what you're doing in making your music?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because it's like I feel like I'm already doing that, because it's sort of it's intuitively how I think music works. So it's like I already get it on some level.
So what is happening, or what is not happening, or what is happening, which means that you're not getting that sense of arrival?
Probably I'm trying to make things too complex, because I find kind of sort of normal or common arrangement structure is a bit boring, but then what I'm trying to make is more complicated than.
Okay, so my little prescription for you is to experiment with using the most boring arrangement structure possible, and to make the most interesting piece of music. Because again, so it's like this thing is, you didn't say this, but it reminds me of this thing where when I talk about a structure, people go, so I say, there's this structure, for instance, in pop, and people go, yeah, but I make drum and bass. I'm like, what? But it's like saying I'm not going to make music because I make drum and bass. It's like the structure isn't what makes it. I mean, it can, but the structure isn't. You can have the most boring structure and the most interesting piece of music. Similarly, you can have the most interesting structure and the most boring piece of music. It's like there isn't. It's not as. It's maybe it's not the structure that's boring you. Maybe it's something else. Maybe that's not where the problem is at all.
Maybe not. I mean, I think another problem might be that in the process of discovery, I often find lots of things that I want to include.
Okay.
And I think it's like, it's hard to include all of those things and make the structure still
brilliant
flow.
So
it's like I need to just kind of or maybe take those things and make another track out of it rather than.
So there has been a pattern in all of the conversations that we've been having today, and I think I'll have to go through them to verify this. But I think it kind of goes with this little aphorism that I've got, which is every music production problem can be traced to not making a decision.
In a decision.
To not making a decision.
Yeah.
Right?
I saw you wrote that in one of the chats. I was like, that's really
yeah. So when you have all, I mean, the thing is about discovery, you have all of these different things. You're not making a decision about this. Similarly, Alex wasn't making the decision about this is the priority. Similarly, Chog is not making the thousands of decisions about what piece of music he wants to work on. Sorry, I can't remember the others, but there's just all of this not making decisions going on. So the problem may well be located in going from discovery to draft and actually saying no, this.